Hello there, welcome to another episode of the Allotment Dram. This is a series of short videos where we sit and talk about different whiskies and the surroundings of our North London allotment. And join me here today on, well, as you can see, quite a grey, sort of moody, damp, cold sort of day. So not the best day, to be honest, but I've got on with a few things, a bit of tidying up, and so on. Also dug up the last of the potatoes, so we've got some lovely sort of red potatoes there. Not going to win any prizes, that's for sure, but they'll be very nice over the festive period. But yeah, I'm sure you didn't really tune in to hear about any of that, but I think you probably tuned in to hear about some whiskey. So what's the Allotment Dram today, I hear you ask? Well, it's another fairly recently released whiskey, and it's from Speyside, and it's the TAMNAVULIN Port Cask edition. So this is from TAMNAVULIN in Speyside. It's just near, if your geography of Speyside's any good, it's just near the village of Ballindalloch. And this joins their core range, which is sort of ever expanding and becoming ever more popular actually. So you've got the double cask, you've got the red wine cask edition, you've got sherry cask edition, and you've got the white wine cask edition, all of which we've tried and reviewed and are lovely. And now there's the port cask edition. So this seems like particularly sort of suitable for this time of the year, as I sit here in mid-December and we've got like Christmas and New Year and things coming up. So what do we have here? Well, it's ex-bourbon casks, American oak ex-bourbon casks, and then finished in some ex-tawny port casks from these were sourced from the Douro Valley in Portugal, where all the port's made basically. And it's been created by Kirsty Hodge, who's the master whiskey maker for TAMNAVULIN at the sort of ownership company, which is White & Mackay. And what else can I tell you? Well, TAMNAVULIN is quite a modern distillery in sort of whiskey, Scotch whiskey terms. It's one from the mid-1960s, 1966 actually, and as I said, currently owned by White & Mackay. And it was really founded in the mid-1960s. There was a massive boom in the Scotch whiskey industry, particularly blends, and lots of companies built distilleries in the mid-1960s to kind of help them with that. So that's really what TAMNAVULIN has been for most of its life, has been there to produce single malts for various blends. Obviously White & Mackay sort of more recently, but yeah, only really the last maybe 5 or 6 years where White & Mackay have really put a push sort of into establishing TAMNAVULIN as a single malt in its own right, really. It's doing very, very well, because they've also positioned it very competitively in the market. So this is £35, and I had a look like just before I came out, and I found it as low as £20. So that's here in the UK. It's exclusive to the UK at the moment, but it's then going to go and mostly the sort of supermarket world. So if it sounds of interest, go and check out, just type in TAMNAVULIN Port Cask and you'll see a list of supermarkets that come up. But it's going to get a wider release sort of within the UK and then global markets sort of from early next year, 2025. So what else? It's bottled at 40%, and TAMNAVULIN, in case you're wondering, means mill on the hill. So there's a lovely old mill at the distillery, which is the mill that it refers to. So yeah, mill on the hill, TAMNAVULIN. So yeah, 40%, about £35. So I think without further ado, that's enough chat. Always excited with like port cask finished whiskies actually. Generally very, very nice. And as I say, for this time of the year, approaching Christmas festive period, seems about right to open this. So look at that lovely coppery sort of amber colour. Even in this fairly dull light, you can hopefully see that it's getting darker and darker as I speak actually. So it just started like drizzling with rain a little bit, so just to add to the mood here. But let's have a smell and a taste. Gosh, that's lovely. You can actually tell this is going to be, maybe sounds slightly weird, but this is going to be quite soft, gentle, quite sort of creamy. You can almost, there's some brown sugar, there's quite a distinct baked apple, and there's like plum compote as well, maybe like a spiced plum compote or spiced prunes, something like that. Some raisin also. Very, very enticing, very promising indeed actually. So let's have a taste. Just as was predicted, it's really soft, gentle, really creamy. Excuse me. This would be perfect for if you had like non-whiskey drinking friends coming around sort of over the Christmas or New Year period, because it has that softness and gentleness, and it doesn't have the, despite my little cough and splutter, it doesn't really have any sort of harshness to it, and it's got a lovely sort of soft fruitiness and sweetness. So that baked apple, that plum compote, some raisin, but there's also some milk chocolate in there and some toffee as well. So yeah, very, very nice. Not the most complicated or complex whiskey by any means, but then, you know, whiskies don't have to be. You know, if they're good and they're enjoyable, then that's the best sort of start point really. But let's have another taste. Yeah, very good, especially when you consider this is a £35 bottle of whiskey. It just has, it's got some youthful elements, but it's a little bit hot maybe towards the end, but that's really my only criticism. Otherwise it's very soft, gentle, this lovely toffee, sort of appley, maybe a bit of like poached pear or something in there as well on top of this baked apple. And now I'm getting, it's quite, with a couple of sips, there's quite a distinct like malted sort of barley, sort of malted biscuit sort of note. Just sits underneath and adds like a sort of consistent structure to the whiskey. It's also a bit of like a toasted walnut and spiced orange as well, and I think the toasted walnut particularly is giving a bit of dryness just on the side of my tongue and the inside of my cheeks. I'm just feeling a little bit of dryness there towards the end, which actually goes quite nicely with that sort of late peppery, sort of like a white pepper, a little pinch of it, a little white peppery heat there. But yeah, overall very, very nice, and yeah, we were delighted to get a bottle of this. And as I say, we like TAMNAVULIN, and we really like actually that, you know, that they're trying to get people into drinking whiskey. They're basically taking the same spirit, pushing it in all these different directions with, like, you know, sherry cask, red wine, white wine, now the port. So you've got this lovely soft gentle spirit at the heart of it, and then pushing it in different directions. But also more importantly, I think, is pitching it at a very attractive price, where, you know, if you're walking around the supermarket and you're not sure what to buy and you see this at 35, and as I say, even as low as, I looked and it was as low as 25, don't tell everyone, but if you see it at, you know, 25, it's an absolute bargain. You get a lot of whiskey for your money for that. So I think probably that's about it from myself and the TAMNAVULIN Port Cask edition. Yeah, perfect for the season. You know, imagine this with like a mince pie, or, you know, a cheese board maybe, the same way you would have a glass of port maybe with a cheese board. You know, really, really nice. But yeah, I think from myself and the TAMNAVULIN Port Cask edition, we will bid you farewell, and thanks for watching, and hopefully see you again soon for another Allotment Dram. Cheers.